All right, guys. Good girl. Good girl. You can stay there, keep eating if you want. It'll be dinner theater. One of the things that happens a lot Are we good? One of the things that happens a lot, right, is we spend a lot of time doing these ground skills things and developing a new way of being with our horses, and it all gets all very sweet and nice and soft. And then something happens, especially if you, have had riding experience prior to your natural horsemanship journey. As soon as you go to saddle, you go back into old patterns and habits, right? We start doing things that don't consider the horse. We stop, getting their permission and asking for consent. And everything then that we did before that, as far as your horse is concerned, was a lie. All right? So, to me, saddling is a big deal. And some of that probably comes from having been a professional colt starter for about 5 years. And then also getting it drilled into me through 3 colt start courses in my Pirelli journey. And the person that to me had really described it in a way that had the most impact was Buck Brenneman. And he said that it's important for us to realize that we're asking our horses permission to take the hide of another prey animal and strap it on their back so tight that she couldn't get it off if she wanted to. And if we go about doing that without some sensitivity to how difficult that could be for them, and what a weird thing that is to ask of them, that's some weird shit, all right? It's kind of like if I asked you to try on this leather vest, it's made of human skin. What is wrong with you, right? That's like some weird stuff. So this process could make or break everything you do before it. If you don't, you could do really great in the warm-up, and then if you go to saddle and you don't do it with reverence and seeking consent and insisting on relaxation, that sort of thing, you might as well not have done the warm-up, okay? So if saddling is an issue, right, if saddling is something that's difficult for your horse to accept, then everything you do after that is going to have a layer of that brace in it. So for me, saddling is a super big deal. Kaya has not worn a saddle yet, my 2-year-old. She's worn a bareback pad, and she still feels a little tickly about the cinch. So I'm not going to move on to the saddle until she's better with the cinch on the bareback pad. It's a great way to sort of break it down and not have it be all or nothing. And then the other thing is to really consider saddle fit. Right? Saddle fit is a whole other area of study. It's a whole other area of expertise. I, of course, have a functional knowledge of saddle fit, but the 2 basic things are that there's good scapula clearance, right? That the scapula has room to move underneath the front of the saddle, and that it's not causing any restriction in blood flow back here. And then I'd add to it for my comfort that I can get on my balance point, right? So this is not a demo about saddle fit. If you have saddle fit questions, we can talk about it if you like. But for the most part, as long as the horse that I'm playing with doesn't have a rotated shoulder, and she does not, if she did, it would look like a half melon right here. The scapula is a floating mechanism. It's not like held down by tendons or ligaments. And so if they have a saddle that restricts the movement of the scapula, they protect themselves by rotating it. And then that causes this big beefy part up here to kind of bulge out a little bit, and it puts like a little bump here. Not a little bump. I mean, she'd have a big bump because you could see this, her scapula is huge. And then if it was restricting blood flow anywhere, the muscles there would atrophy, right? Anytime there's a lack of blood flow to a muscle, the muscle will atrophy. And her back looks pretty good. So I'm not worried about saddle fit with her, and I'm not going to necessarily ride her, so I'm not worried about whether or not the saddle fits me. This is all about her being okay with being saddled. So she's notoriously had a problem with it, right? Deb, you want to tell us a little bit about that? Feral. She was never wild. She was feral. Nope. She was with a feral herd. There's no such thing as wild Mustangs. They are feral horses. That means they were once domestic animals that either were turned loose or got loose. They're not wild. Wild means they grew up in that environment, that the environment was designed to have them there. We put them there. They're feral. It's not any different than a loose pack of dogs. Yep. Block it. Yeah, that's fair enough. Feel good. Yeah. Good. Good. Yep. Yep. Perfect. Okay, well that's okay. I like that you're being super careful with her, but and she's welcome to tell me anything she wants to tell me, and maybe she'll be perfect and it'll just be a demo of like here's what it looks like when it's good. The other thing to always consider too, if they have that kind of, if they suddenly develop that kind of opinion about being saddled, right? So if it's been an ongoing thing, and I'm not surprised at all that she bit you, right? We've already seen that from her. She's very particular about her preferences. But it's also possible if they have been good about being saddled in the past, but then become uncomfortable or expressive, let's say, about being saddled, they could have a chiropractic issue. Like if a rib is out, it hurts. So I always consider pain as a possibility, and just her back looks great. Yeah, her back looks great. And then the other possibility is ulcers, right? If she has a bit of an ouchy tummy pressure right here, like triggers it. So those are all things I would add to, making sure that she's comfortable. Right. Right, yeah. It's most likely behavioral. Did you get it? It's on this side. I never, ever, never, ever, never just pull my horse out of the pasture and saddle him. I always, always, always play with him first, saddle him, and then play with him some more. To me, it's like foreplay, right? That when we ride, that's a form of intimacy, and everything I do before that is to get her in the mood. And is it okay and even sometimes nice for a quick and dirty one every once in a while? Yeah. But I'm not going to do it like that all the time or even very often. Vanna, you would absolutely get bucked off. If you saddled her before playing with her and then tried to hop on without playing with her with the saddle, she would unload you. She's had a really hard time accepting the cinch, and like you, I checked all the body things. It was just, she's such a forward horse that this cinch feels like it's a trap, and it took her a really long time for me to convince her that the cinch is not trapping her. So good. All right, well, we'll play with that stuff and see what Miss Gwencia has to say. You can, I don't know if you were watching, but I already played with her a little bit, and it's you don't have to draw it out, right? I'm looking for green lights. Are you connected, relaxed, and responsive? If the answer to those questions is yes, then I'll go ahead and saddle them, especially if my goal for that, ground skills session is to get ready to ride. Good girl. So I just want to move her a little bit more because she's been in her stall for, over our lunch break. And good girl. When they're at rest, their muscles get soft, right? And then when we start moving them again, they pump more blood through them. They swell up a little bit, like when you lift weights. It can kind of give you a little muscle swell. And so I want to fill the muscles with blood before I put the saddle on. Otherwise, if they try to fill with blood inside of the saddle, it can be restrictive. All right, so I'm going to move her a little bit. I've gotten some good yields from her. Good girl. I just want to get a little more blood flow to her back muscles, and then I'll take her to the saddle versus taking the saddle to her whenever possible. I just play a bit of a touch it with her. So if she touches the saddle first, then I have her permission to touch her with the saddle. Move it. Move it. Thank you. Good girl. That's fine too. That's it. Good. Oh, you learned this morning. That was fancy. Oop. Atta girl. Atta girl. Atta girl. Don't push on me. I didn't mean go faster. Atta girl. I don't want your butt. Thank you. That's it. There you go. Atta girl. No, thank you. There you go. That's it. Super. That's a girl. It's okay. It's okay. Good girl. Woo! Good. So I can rev the engine a little bit, and then when I'm ready for her to down regulate, I want her to associate, don't push on me. I want her to associate that moment of rest with the saddle. Wherever her nose is pointed, when she catches her breath, gets credit for air. So I'm going to keep encouraging her to keep her nose focused on her saddle. A nice lick and a chew. On the saddle. Good girl. Oh, it's very good. On the saddle. And kind of just wait for her to, catch her breath. On the saddle. Good girl. Another lick and a chew. So I feel confident that we're, associating happy vibes with being near the saddle. She's touched it several times. I feel like I have her permission then to touch her with the saddle. I'm also ready for her to revoke that permission at any moment, and we'll renegotiate the terms of our agreements. But for now, she seems pretty solid, ready to do it. Hi, baby. Oh, that's so nice. If I can't saddle my horse without tying them, that's a problem for me, right? I don't mind holding the rope. She's not my horse. I don't know her well enough to, just put the rope on the ground. But, ideally, being able to saddle at liberty is a good goal to have. It's not unrealistic. Teach them the parking spot. Give them permission to tell you that it's green light or not. And it usually happens pretty quickly. Licking and chewing, so that tells me green light. I threw the pad up there and her ears turned around. I think it was more just like, hey, I noticed that you put the pad on there. But it could have meant that I don't like that, so I repeated it in an effort just to make sure, and she's fine, and she licked and chewed right away. So then I can go, now here's a little trick for you. And they're all facing the other way. If I know I'm gonna saddle my horse from the off side, because it eliminates one step. All right. So I always, when I put my saddle on the fence to be ready to saddle, I want to be able to grab it from here and swing it up, but it's facing the other way. So now I'm going to have to turn it around, which is not the end of the world. But if you have a Western saddle, that's harder to get done. So I just, put it on the fence, anticipating wanting to be able to grab it like this, right? So I put a straight elbow over the seat. And put my left hand up under a flap here. I want to give her another opportunity to smell it if she wants, but she already has several times, so I'm not too worried about just bringing it around and swinging it up there. All good still. She licked and chewed right away. I'd rather she not move forward, so I'm just going to put her back with enough pressure that hopefully causes her to not want to move forward again. I'm going to pull the pad up into the gullet. I'm checking for scapula clearance here. I should be able to run my hand under there without too much restriction. If I get some restriction, there is a little bit, not a lot. If it were my horse, I'd probably want a little shim. I'd want the front of it to be lifted a little bit, but I can also help it by just putting it back some to give more room for the scapula. Oh, I'm on the near side, not the far side. That's okay. We can do it backwards. Either way, you should be able to do it both ways, right? And with an English saddle, it doesn't matter as much. So the whole time, I'm keeping track of her emotions. I'm not putting that on backwards. Yes, this way. Girl. Yep. I think she's just checking on me. When she means something, she'll bring her teeth around. Yeah, I think the mouth will follow the ears, so I definitely am not going to be complacent about it. But the vibe I'm getting from her is she's a little bit distracted, honestly. And I'm guessing that if there's a problem, it's going to happen when I tighten the cinch. Good girl.
Can I add something, Kristen?
Yeah.
The hard part for us as humans when we're saddling, we get focused on our buckles, we get focused on the ladder nodes. We lose our peripheral senses. And I don't want to say just vision, but our peripheral sensors as to what's going on with our horse's attitude. He has a very keen sense and the ability to separate and listen to both of the seat and adhere to both of those concepts, right? Following the sinews, but she feels the energy and the sense of what the horse is doing as well. And it's a hard skill to develop.
Unless you've had a traumatic childhood.
What's that?
Unless you've had a traumatic childhood.
Yeah.
But sometimes the traumatic childhood can turn your sense, it can work the other way too. Yeah, most people just aren't paying close enough attention in so many contexts. It's a source of frustration for me. So I got green lights all the way, and I'm going to do it just like you do it. I'm validating your process, Deb. I'm only going to do the cinch up enough that the saddle's not going to move. I'm going to move her around just a little bit and do it up gradually. My goal with the cinching is I'd like her to feel like I'm giving her a hug and not the Heimlich maneuver. She's not expecting me to ask her to go sideways right now, which is kind of why I'm asking her to go sideways. Boop. That's the sound I make when I'm going to add pressure so I don't get aggressive. Boop. It helps me like have a playful attitude about it. Good girl. You're gonna, run into people. I'm related to some that will tell you, I don't have time for all that bullshit. Okay, well, we have different views on what consent means probably then too. I told you guys earlier today that in order for my horse's resilience to grow, she needs exposure to a mild or moderate amount of stress that is combined with a sense of agency. And the agency I provide her is, you're allowed to tell me if you don't like something I'm doing. I'm going to negotiate it with you. I'm not just going to accept that as all we do. We're going to have a talk about it. I want to help you feel good about it. But I'm not going to tell you you're not allowed to have an opinion. Good girl. That's it. That's a good girl. That's okay. That's okay. There you go. It didn't take much to send her away. When she over flexes like that, Deb, and comes in without me asking, that's dominance. But if she's getting really good at if I go, no thank you, and just send her away, she's fine with that. Good girl. That's kind of what I was hoping, is that she would stretch her neck a little bit more. Something over there is grabbing her attention. That's it. That's it. That's it. Good girl. There you go. There you go. That's it. But don't come here. I want you to stay out there. Thank you. That was so easy to do, not a big deal. She's like, I think I might dominate you. I'd rather you didn't. She went, okay. Licking and chewing. Let's check the cinch one more time. Good girl. It would make sense for her to turn her ears around, right? She's, keeping track of me back here. And she's licking and chewing, so I feel like I'm still safe, not in imminent danger of being bitten. That's a girl. That's nice. Can you go wider? I'd like to see you stretch your neck a little bit. That's a girl. That's a girl. That's a girl. I keep that nose over there. There you go. I'm looking for her inside hind leg to track towards her outside front. If I can do that and get a little bend of the neck, not too much bend. Too much bend in the neck will take the power out of the back, not too much bend. Too much bend. If I can do that, a lot of times they'll lift their back, and the way I know they've lifted their back is that they lower their neck. Get away from me. There you go. There you go. Good girl. That was probably a fly, but I'm going to take it. I'm going to let her reset and try again. I'd like to teach her to stretch her neck a little bit more. We were both getting dizzy, weren't we? Take a little break. The licking a chew came pretty quick, not as quick as it did with the saddling part. Any questions so far while I let her reset? The little twirly thing I did was just for fun. She felt like she was ready for me to like play with her, not just tell her stuff. It kind of freaked her out. So I didn't do it very much. Sometimes I add flourishes because it's fun. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. She almost has like a gaited horse sort of vibe in the behind it. Like, I think it's a little bit structural. It's hard to say with Mustangs because, you know, the horses that contributed to the gene pool are so varied. So it could be like even like an Iberian kind of thing where the joints are a little loose. That's why I keep wanting her to stretch her neck. I'm hoping I could lengthen the stride really. But she can't lengthen her stride if she's got her head up. There we go. Yeah, she's not moving, she's not preambling, but the shape of her hip and the way she uses her hind legs puts me in the mindset of a gaited horse. Yeah, just a little. Yeah, she's very flexible. Good girl. Thank you so much. That's it. Good. No. No, I don't know what you mean. So a square turn puts the weight over the hocks, but it doesn't release brace. So because to me the biggest problem right now feels like a mental brace to me, I wouldn't do square turns. Not at all. Yeah. Yeah, until she felt less inclined to say no, I would do only round turns. Like, in some circles, they would say you ride the inside of the horse to release brace and the outside of the horse to get power. So right now, I'm riding the inside of the horse. Good girl, good girl. It was the tiniest little try, but that one was less likely a fly. So especially with a horse like this who has a really high capacity for feeling picked on, that's why she gets that grump. Like, no matter what I do, it's not good enough for you. Not a girl. So every time there's a little piece that comes anywhere close, I want to make a big deal out of it. You're always right. You're never wrong. It's never a problem. I'm always happy. It's easy for me to be pleased. That kind of thing. If I can do that, then she'll try harder to please me. But if it feels like no matter what she does, she can't get to a happy place, it doesn't feel good, then that's when you're going to get all the grumpy stuff. You just stop crying. I'm the same way. To an extent, I guess I've done some things where I didn't feel like I could find a happy place and just kept banging my head against that wall. Good. Lots of licking and chewing. great hair. Okay, I try again. Whoop. Thank you. Whoop. Thank you. That's it. That's it. You got it. It's usually easier to get him to stretch the neck and the trot. Good girl. That was a good one. Okay? What she needs in this context with the saddle and everything is for someone to show her where it feels good. She still has a little bit of defensiveness in her posture because she doesn't know that if she stretches her neck, it'll feel good. But if I get too like fixated on that and don't, take breaks when she tries a little bit, or if I think that the only way we can move on is if she stretches her neck and leaves it down there, then all that's going to happen is she's going to feel picked on and it'll get worse rather than better. So for me, if this was my horse and I was getting ready to ride, the next thing I would do is ask her to canter, not because it's the right thing behaviorally, but because I want to see, does the saddle change her opinion of cantering? Because sometimes cantering happens accidentally, right? A little unplanned stimulus of novelty enters into your environment. Goats, per se, could happen any minute. You never know, right? And a quick little canter, and if I haven't checked it out ahead of time, it could be that she has an opinion about that, and I'd rather know that before I get on, right? So I'm going to ask more of most of my horses before I get on than what I'm going to ask of them while I'm on, until I get to that tipping point, right? When you have that saddle horse that you've had for eons and you get to know each other on an energetic level. I still ask Maxie to canter before I get on her, but it's like 3 strides, like she's, yeah, this. Yep.
I have a friend who, for lots of reasons, including her own physical problems, has gotten really afraid to ride. And she's like, I'm just going to be a walk-trot person. I'm like, you can't count on that.
Right. Yeah. And that is, and yeah. Anyway, yeah, there's all kinds of unplanned or unpredictable novelty, right? It's possible the sky's the limit. And in those situations, there are 4 areas that horses can potentially gain or lose confidence. They can gain or lose confidence in, like in their natural way of being, right? Personality-wise, they're in their nature. Are they naturally a confident horse, or are they naturally unconfident? She feels like naturally a confident horse, but that doesn't mean she doesn't get scared, right? It means that when she does get scared, it's going to be hard for me to convince her that I can help her. Left brain horses get scared just as much, probably, sometimes more, as right brain horses. They just don't want my help when they get scared. Right brain horses get scared and then go, can you help me? Yes, please. Where left brain horses are like, you're not qualified. And so in how confident are they naturally? Then another area of confidence is novelty. In new environments, in new situations, in new herds, anytime something feels new to them, how does that affect their confidence? Then as a learner, right, anytime I'm trying to teach you something that we haven't covered before, does me presenting new information to you affect your confidence? And then the final area is in me as their leader. And that's the area that will compensate for all other areas, right? I can overcome a lack of confidence in her nature. I can overcome a lack of confidence in novel things. I can overcome her lack of confidence as a learner if she's confident in me. And the thing that will make her confident in me is that I have proven to her that I see your problem and I know what to do about it. I can make it better. I have to prove that to her. To a horse like this, a lot. A more right brain horse, not as much, because they're rooting for you. Oh, I hope she's the leader, right? Left brain horses are going, yeah, we'll see, right? And they'll vote on it moment to moment. It takes a long time for that to really stick. And, so things like the helicopter, Cindy, what was lacking there was your self-confidence, and then therefore it would cause her to lose confidence in you as her leader, right? Like that, and it's not right or wrong, it's just a good awareness to have. Because it's perfect. Yeah, that's the right thing to do. Right. Yeah, I mean, it's the partnership, right? It's the two of you together. She had some to do with it, but and you can acknowledge that the reason you might lack some self-confidence is because she knocked it out of you, right? Like you don't have to own all of it. She's part of it. But in order for that to get better, you're gonna have to work on your self-confidence first, so that you can present to her, I see your problem, and I know what to do to help you.
Right. It's easier to do that at home in the arena than the league was a little above my pay grade.
Yeah, sure. That's fair. Okay, so I'm gonna ask her to canter now, just as an experiment. Sometimes I do things just to gather information, right? I'm not trying to necessarily train something. I just want to see what happens. Good girl. You can go that way with your nose. Thank you. Okay, ready? Good girl. Much better transition into the trot. That's nice. Good girl. And now I'm going to ruin it by asking her to canter, but that's how you go. Ah, good girl. Oh, I can't pass that up. Oh, man. That was too good. Good girl.
Did you ask her in, or is she coming in on Good Girl?
I asked her in. But I am trying to get her to connect that with Good Girl.
I think it's so interesting when I see these courses that people come in with various places and they just stay like that.
With her head in a good spot. Right. The only way she's going to leave her head there is if she feels safe doing so, because it's also a submissive posture for her to take. So until you prove your leadership to her, it's probably not going to stay there. She's going to keep lifting her head to look for danger. She's not doing it to, give you a hard time or to hurt herself, obviously. She's looking for danger. She doesn't trust you to do it for her. Yet. She doesn't trust you to do it yet. Okay. Good. Super. I know, you can do it. Good. Yeah, baby. Oh, it's so good. You are a clever girl. Now, when her nose goes below her knees, that's not really ideal, but she's at least there. She's at least exploring down as an option, so I'm not going to be like super picky about it. I'm super happy with the direction we're heading. So if my goal is to get to a ride, I don't feel good unless I've seen a little canter. Yeah. So just the transition makes her emotional, right? So I'm going to do several of those until she's less emotional, at least. Good. Keep your nose out. Your back legs wouldn't fall out if you would just keep your brain in your skull. That's it, girl. Good. That's too good. Excellent. So when they're tense, they have a tendency to hold their breath. When she starts to try to relax, they blow out like that. And even though the transition wasn't looking like anything I'd want to ride, her effort at trying to release the tension was more important to me than the transition. So give her a little break here. But for me, I would still not be comfortable putting my butt on this horse's back. Because if a canter happened accidentally, I might pucker. I don't like that. Yeah. Yeah, it's tension. Yeah. No? Yeah, I would just get so far away from her that I wouldn't be able to influence. I wouldn't be able to help her. And I'm not staying in one place, right? So it is just a 12-foot rope, but I'm walking in about a 20-foot circle. Lots of licking and chewing, so that's a good thing. I don't know. We can make up all kinds of stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if she was or wasn't. I think she's just real ready to say no. And until that, it feels like we're getting more yeses than nos. I personally wouldn't be, super confident to hop on. That's a girl. That's really good. Nice. The walk-trot transitions have gotten really smooth. So I'd be comfortable with all of that from on top. That was so good. You can do it. That's a girl. Super. There you go. You got it. That's it. That's a big trot. Oh, sorry. She was going to canter, and then I added pressure anyway, and that's what made her jump around a little. Good. That's better. That's better. I still probably wouldn't ask her to canter under saddle yet, but if it happened accidentally, I feel better that I might survive it. Yes. Yeah, then transitions are usually the spot where if something's going to go sideways, that's where it happens. Okay? Some observations about Wensia or that process. Not necessarily, because I'm not trying to train her body. If I was trying to improve the canter, then yes, I would go both ways. But that's not the goal. The goal is she rideable? If I went the other way, she's more likely to actually get grumpy again. Like, why do we keep doing this? Repetition for left brain horses can cause brace. So the moment it starts to seem like they get the goal, you got to do something else. And I mean, it can feel like a change of conversation by going the other way. So it's possible that it would go all right, but I feel like we're in a good spot. And my brain goes, yeah, I'd ride it at least at the walk and the trot. And if the canter happened accidentally, I think we'd be okay. But I still look at it and go, I want more consistent relaxation and responsiveness in the walk and trot before I'd start trying to train the canter. When I petted her. I probably shouldn't have. No, sometimes I do it unconsciously. Anytime it feels like she's trying to process a big lesson, I would avoid touching her. Yeah, it is, because it's instinct. Yeah. So like I'd pet her now because I'm not trying to get her to think about something we just did. But if I just tried to teach her something, it looks like she's getting the goal, and then I touch her, she's thinking about me touching her versus the thing we just tried to learn. Good? What else? Yeah, she's gorgeous. Yeah. Yeah. Do you know how old she was when she was rounded up? too. Yes, that's a that's fairly mature. You had a couple real good years out there in the wilderness, huh? Right. Mm. Oh, well done. And how long has she been with you now? 2 years. She's a very good girl. She is gorgeous. I would say she has like Iberian something in her genetics. Yeah, that is the Spanish barb probably in there, maybe. Yeah, something along those lines. You see that sometimes too in like Andes and Lusitanos. It has a different look. Yeah, they're crazy flexible, like a wet noodle. Anything else? Right. So model-esque. Yeah, you're a model. Any questions about anything I did with her? It's a personal choice. It just needs to be 2 distinct sounds. In Pirelli, we were sort of encouraged strongly to cluck once for a trot and twice for the canter. It also makes you, when you do it that way instead of just clucking for trot and kissing for canter, it makes you be a little more disciplined with your sounds. So instead of, which would desensitize her to that sound, when I know I need to make sure it's clear, 1 cluck means trot and 2 clucks means canter, then it makes me conscious of the clucking, and so I don't use it as much when I don't mean to, but I still ride with Linda and have her go, did I hear you cluck to her? I'm like, no. Because clucking is pressure, right? It's meant to be pressure, but oftentimes we overuse it and it becomes meaningless. And so when I cluck, I got to ride Hot Jazz a few years ago. And Linda warned me, right? Like, if you cluck to him, he's going to anticipate pressure and he will go. So, be aware. So terrified. And of course, my brain gets to doing what brains do, and I forget about it, and happen, right? So the cluck is meant to be a sound that says, I'm about to whack you. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. But if you don't, respond lickety-split. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, I suppose. All right. So what you can do now then is go and collect your horses with love and affection. Come in and play with them for a little bit. Then take them to their saddle. Saddle them gently. And then play with them some more while you gradually get them cinched up. And we'll see where that gets us. Good job, guys. Thank you.